You ever have one of those days where you realize the people running the show have no idea what kind of game they're playing? Yeah, that was me not too long ago. And let me tell you, if you've ever been on the receiving end of some HOA Queen Bee's crusade, you know exactly what I mean. I'm not talking about some petty argument over mailbox colors or yard gnomes. No, this story is about how one person's little power trip ended up flipping their world upside down and how I got the last laugh in a way nobody saw coming. Let me set the stage. I'm 45, been in construction. My whole adult life started my own home building and renovation company about 15 years ago. Built it from the ground up, literally. And these days we do some high-end stuff all over the state. I'm not showy about it, but hey, it's paid off. One of the perks is a membership at this fancy golf resort. Let's just call it the resort, about 20 minutes from home. The kind of place where everyone acts like they invented Chardonnay, and your car better not have a scratch on it. We're talking full golf membership, spa restaurant, the works. Been paying my dues 15 grand a year for 12 straight years. Used it for business lunches winding down after a brutal week, even just as a place to breathe. My truck's a Ford F-250 Platinum. Yeah, that big beast. It's got every bell and whistle, not a speck of mud, and I keep a tasteful little company logo on the doors. Not some loud billboard, just, professional. I've parked that truck at the resort 1,000 times, never a problem. Then there's her, the Queen Bee. Mid-50s, married to serious money, runs the social and aesthetics committee and unofficially the whole HOA for the residential side of the resort. You know the type, every strand of hair in place, pearls even at breakfast, and a look that says, "You work with your hands." That's cute. To her, I'm new money, a guy who builds things. Not her kind. But for 12 years, it was just fake smiles, polite nods, no big deal. What nobody knew was that for the last 6 months, I'd been in the middle of something much bigger, a chance to buy into the resort. Parent company overextended itself in an expansion, and suddenly they're looking for investors. Through a buddy, I get asked to join a small group looking to pick up a 40% controlling stake. The other investors wanted me on board for my construction chops. Place needed serious renovations, and they wanted someone with skin in the game to oversee it all. So for months, I'm in secret meetings, talking numbers, signing NDAs. And I didn't tell a soul at the resort. All right, back to the action. It's a Friday in early spring. I'm running on fumes after a week from hell. Got a 3 o'clock tea time with a new client, one of those meetings where you hope you can seal the deal before you run out of golf balls. I pull up in my truck, same as always, walk past the patio, and there's Queen Bee holding court with her wine-drinking disciples. She lets out this loud, dramatic sigh and practically yells, "I just don't understand why management allows service vehicles in the members' lot. It ruins the whole aesthetic," right in front of her followers like I'm not standing 10 feet away. I'm in a good mood, so I give her a nod. Afternoon and keep moving. She does this little scoff, turns her back on me, and everyone at her table acts like I've tracked mud onto the carpet. That's when I should have known I was in for it. She'd found a new project. The meeting goes great. I actually close a $2 million renovation deal halfway through the back 9. I'm feeling like king of the world, not realizing the queen was just getting started. A week later, I'm coming in for dinner. Made a reservation at the club's restaurant place, is top notch. And I'm meeting an old friend. Pull up to the gate and the security guard, a kid who looks barely old enough to shave, suddenly stops me. "Sorry, sir, but we've had complaints about commercial trucks in the members area. I can't let you through." I tell him politely, "I've been a member for 12 years. This is my personal truck and I've got a reservation." He keeps glancing at his radio, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. And then here she comes. Queen Bee, purse dog in hand, strutting out like she's about to present a trophy. "Oh, is there a problem, Kyle?" she asks the guard, and then to me with this syrupy smile. "We've discussed this before. Your truck just isn't appropriate for the main areas. Perhaps the overflow lot by the highway?" Her voice is all sugar, but her eyes are throwing daggers. Now, I'm a patient guy, have to be in my business. But something about the way she said it, like I was some hired help who'd gotten lost, just lit a fuse. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "With all due respect, my truck pays the same 5-figure dues as your husband's Mercedes. I'm parking in the members' lot." Then I put my window up and rolled through nice and slow. In the mirror, her face turned so red I thought she'd pop a vessel. She'd never been challenged, not publicly, and I could tell she wasn't going to let this go. 2 days later, I get this cold, formal email from the GM Davies, the kind of manager who just wants to keep the loudest voices happy. Subject line, membership review. I open it, and boom, I'm suspended. 12 years, thousands in dues, never even a parking ticket. And now I'm kicked out because the Queen Bee didn't like my truck. Tried to call Davies. No answer. Tried the parent company. Got bounced between people who couldn't care less. Meanwhile, Queen Bee is bragging to anyone who'll listen about how she cleaned up the club and got that construction guy kicked out. Said it was about standards. Right. I was furious, but I'm also a planner. I'd built my whole career on seeing 2 or 3 moves ahead. What she didn't know was that in 48 hours, the resort's ownership was about to change and I'd be in a very different position. I kept my head down, let her have her victory lap. Behind the scenes, the acquisition closed and I was appointed chair of operations and vendor relations. My first move audit, every single contract, especially landscaping, since rumor had it Queen Bee's husband's company held the contract and was charging way above market. Sure enough, they were raking in fat fees for so-so work. Got 3 new bids, all better, all cheaper. Now here's where it gets good. 3 months after my suspension, I show up on a quiet Wednesday, park my truck front and center right in the GM spot, walk into the clubhouse, tie straight like I own the place. The receptionist nearly faints. Davies comes running out, sweating bullets. You have to leave, you're trespassing. That's when my partners from the investment group walk in, introduce themselves as the new executive committee, and tell Davies to bring every contract to his office for review right now. Watching Davies' face as he realized who he was really dealing with, well, I wish I'd had a camera. He suddenly got real agreeable, especially when I laid out the numbers on the landscaping scam. He fell over himself to terminate that contract and start new bids. A week later, I'm back on the golf course with my client, and who do I see Queen Bee on the patio, surrounded by her groupies, staring at me like I'd come back from the dead. I could actually see the wheels turning. How is this guy back? Why is Davies being so nice to him? Why is he asking about the new groundskeeping team? That's when it hit her. She hadn't just lost her little battle, she'd lost the war. I nodded at her, gave her a polite little smile, and walked inside. She knew her husband's contract was toast. Her phone calls to Davies were going straight to voicemail, and her reign was officially over. The best part, she tried to fight back. Rallied her friends, complained about property rights, tried to get the homeowners association up in arms. But here's the thing, when the entity that holds your mortgage also runs the entire resort, you don't have much leverage. We found all kinds of shady practices in the HOA's books. Nothing criminal, but enough to bring in professional managers and take authority out of her hands. She was allowed to stay on as a volunteer coordinator, in other words, a figurehead. Most of her supporters bailed as soon as they realized their property values depended on keeping the new management happy. The final blow saw her showing a real estate agent around, clearly thinking about selling. Maybe they needed the money. Maybe she just couldn't take being out of power, but a month later she was gone, moved to some other community, probably hoping for a second act. No party, no farewell speech, just gone. And the place felt lighter, like everyone could breathe again. That whole mess taught me something. For years, she got her way by being loud and intimidating, by making weak managers do her bidding. But when it came up against actual ownership, real power, not just the illusion, it all fell apart in a heartbeat. Now the resort runs better than ever. Contracts go to the best bids, members get treated like paying customers, and I still park my truck wherever the hell I want. Davies learned to manage the business, not the personalities, and things are running smoother than ever. I'll tell you, the most satisfying part wasn't saving money or making improvements. It was knowing that when someone tried to shut me out with their little social club politics, I answered in the only way that really matters: actual control. She thought she was putting me in my place. Turns out I was the one holding the keys all along. And every time I walk past that patio where she used to sit, I remember money talks. Everything else is just noise. Now let me throw this out there. Have you ever seen someone try to play king or queen of the hill only to get knocked off when real power shows up? Or maybe you've got your own HOA horror story. Drop it in the comments. Let's hear about the queens and kings in your neighborhood. Hit like, share your thoughts on justice and power, and hey, if you enjoyed this, stick around for more stories, because trust me, in the world of HOAs and entitled folks, there's never a dull moment.